Yo, what up, Toshi here. Now, when it comes to Argenti, he's a very interesting character. I honestly am very interested in him because I looked at his kit, and I actually did not take a deep dive into his kit until now, and he actually looks pretty nice as a damage dealer, that is, right? If the enemies are weak to physical, he's going to be your best friend. Now, for most players, he is definitely a skip. But if you're like me and you have the tools for the character to do his job, then you won't go wrong with pulling for him as a damage dealer. Because as a damage dealer, he definitely will be putting out a lot of damage. Now, first of all, let's get this out the way. If you don't have Huo, I would not recommend this character. The reason why is because she is the best, hands down, defensive option for this character. She has energy and she has attack. That's all you need for a character that wants to be used in hyper carry teams. He is a hyper carry damage dealer. There is no flexibility when it comes to his team compositions, unfortunately. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about his kit. So Argenti is a physical erudition damage dealer. He deals physical damage with his basic attack that is a percentage of his total attack. This is pretty much standard for every single erudition character or any damage dealer in the game, and the scalings is no different from any other damage dealer. Now, the thing is about Argenti, you are not incentivized for using basic attacks on the character, so take this into consideration whenever you do use him in your hyper carry teams. You're going to want to use Hanya, and we'll go over why that is later in the video. Argenti's elemental skill deals physical damage to all enemies. Think of this as a traditional erudition elemental skill. You deal damage to all the enemies in the field. There is no special effects, no special part of the passive. You just deal physical damage to all the enemies. Now, the energy regeneration for his elemental skill is 30. So we'll talk about this and why this is important a little later into the actual kit of this character. Argenti's ultimate for In the Garden, Supreme Beauty Bestows, consumes 90 energy and deals physical damage equal to 160% of Argenti's attack to all enemies, and this is at max levels. For free to play, this is what you're going to be hitting with if you use his ultimate at 90 energy. Now, Argenti is a very special character. He is the first character in the game that has two charges essentially to his ult. He has 90 and then he has 180. The max energy he can get is 180. Now, you're almost always going to want to use 180 or wait till you have 180 energy on the character before you use his ultimate. That's because you are greatly incentivized for doing so. Now, the second part of this ultimate is Merit Bestowed in My Garden. This will consume 100 of your energy and deal physical damage equal to 280% of his attack to all enemies. Now, this attack will further deal damage up to 6 extra times. Now, what's very interesting about this is if you are fighting just one enemy on the field, you're going to hit that single enemy 6 times. And this does a really nice amount of Argenti's attack. We're talking almost 100% for each individual extra hit. So this is about 6 instances of 100% on top of the 280% you already get. So you're hitting that enemy for nearly 1,000 of a multiplier. It's really insane. But in boss scenarios, it's just like elemental skill. You're going to find this very, very, very satisfying to use. Now, Argenti's talent, Sublime Object, for every enemy hit by his basic skill or ultimate, he will regenerate energy by 3. 3 energy is not that crazy, but this is for every single ability he does hit the enemy with. Furthermore, he does get a stack of Apotheosis, which increases his crit rate by 2.5%, and this can stack up to 10 times. Now, this is going to be a 25% crit rate increase for your Argenti, which means you don't need to have as much crit rate as you might think. I would say a very solid stopping point of having crit rate on the character, in my honest opinion, would be around 70% would be a very solid stopping point. 70% is very, very generous considering you will be getting a lot of that crit rate just from the talent alone. Now, unlike Huo, and I didn't mention her technique in the previous video, I'm going to mention Argenti's because his technique does play into the character and his overall kit. So you're going to daze enemies for 10 seconds. Think of this like, say, a pose technique. Whenever you impair the enemies, he throws a smoke field, you're going to daze them, and that means the enemies will not be able to attack your team. So you're able to get in your free hit from your technique. Now, this also deals with physical damage whenever you do enter the battle, just like any traditional technique, but he will regenerate his own energy by 15. Now, that 15 energy you get from the technique is very important when we talk about the breakpoint and trying to hit that 180 energy as fast as possible. So we're going to go over his 3 traditional bonus abilities, just like any other character in Honkai Star does have. His first one is Courage, and this increases his damage to enemies who are 50% or less HP by 15%. This is very, very nice because whenever you are dealing damage to those enemies, you're going to nuke whenever you get your ultimate, and this is just going to finish them off. The second ability is that whenever enemies enter battle, so whether this is new enemies or old enemies, you're going to regenerate 2 energy for Argenti. Now, the 2 energy on top of the 3 energy he gets for using his skill is going to be very important when we talk about breakpoints. We'll get into that a little later. And his third ability is whenever he starts the turn, he'll gain 1 stack of Apotheosis. Now, the Apotheosis is what gives him the 2.5% crit rate. It's a lot more easier to stack this way versus just having it whenever you use a basic attack, elemental skill, or ultimate, right? That would take forever to stack up. So it's very nice you get a stack whenever you do take his turn. But he's not going to be a character you want to build with speed, in my opinion. Now, the constellations or eidolons, whatever you want to call it, for Argenti are actually really cracked. I'm not going to recommend them, just like I don't recommend eidolons or constellations for any character except for Brownie Eidolon 1, of course. And that's because, well, the nature of gacha games, right? I don't recommend spinning. Now, at first glance, 180 energy is very hard to come across, right? Huo is a character that essentially has 140 energy, and you know how hard it is to get her ultimate at times. It feels like you really are pulling tooth and nail. But Argenti is a character that has many ways, like Huo, to get energy for himself, and he has ways of getting energy from his allies, because his best team is going to consist of allies that essentially funnel energy and other things of damage sources to the character. Let's go over those energy sources. Now, as a free-play player, you will be using Make the World Claimer, and this is because you get energy whenever you enter the battle, and you're going to increase your ultimate damage. This is literally all Argenti needs from a light cone. And if you do happen to have refinements, you'll get even more energy, and you'll increase your ultimate damage by a larger amount. So the more refinements you have when you're light cone means that you're going to have a harder and a more often hitting Argenti. But having his light cone at refinement 1 is perfectly fine because it gets the job done. When you use your technique on Argenti, you're going to get 15 energy. You get 20 energy from Make the World Claimer, the 4-star light cone, so that means you have 35 energy once you start the battle. That means you need a total of 145 more energy in order to get the second charge of his ultimate. Whenever you do enter battle, you're going to regenerate 2 energy. You also get 3 more energy whenever you use his elemental skill. And then just like any other character in Honkai Star Rail, you get 30 energy from using the skill of that character. So this is going to give him 35 more energy. This is 35 on top of the 45 he already gets at the start of battle. This is going to be 35 energy from the skill usage and entering the battle, and 35 more from the light cone and the fact that you use the technique before the battle starts. So that means you only need 110 more energy in order to get the 180 max energy ultimate. Without eidolons, Tingyun gives you 50 energy. So that means you need 60 more energy in order to get your ultimate. But if you do have Eidolon 6 for Tingyun, she gives 10 more energy. So that means you need 50 more energy for the character. So this is where Huo comes into play. She's going to give you 36 energy because 20% of the energy given to all of your allies is going to be 36 for 100 energy. That is the max of Argenti. So that means you need only 24 more energy in order to, and this is without Eidolons for your Tingyun, or 14 more energy if you do have Eidolon 6 for your Tingyun. And voila, this is where Quid Pro Quo shines. It gives you 16 energy to that ally that needs that energy, in this case Argenti. So that means your healer, in this case Huo, is going to give the last bit of energy you need in order to get your ultimate max at 180. Now do take into consideration you want to proc Quid Pro Quo before you use the ultimates from your Tingyun and your Huo. That's to take into consideration that your Argenti needs to be the one receiving the energy. This is going to give you the last little bit you need in order to get that ultimate. Now, take into consideration if you do not have Eidolon 6 for your Tingyun, you're going to need 8 more energy from any source. So the only way of getting a few more energy points for your Argenti is going to be one of the options we talked about earlier. Make the World Claimer gives 3 energy for every extra refinement you have. So if you have a total of 4 refinements on the light cone, you're going to give that 9 energy you need for Argenti. That means you'll be able to get your ultimate at refinement 4 of Make the World Claimer. But if you don't have the refinement 4 at that point, you just have to hope that he gets hit by the enemy. That is going to solve all of your problems. And considering he is going to be a character that you don't want to build any speed on, then you're going to take advantage of the fact that he may end up getting hit, which will give you the energy due to RNG. Now there is another way of regenerating energy, and that is going to be Passkey, which is a 3-star light cone. But I really don't recommend this light cone, and the reason being is because Argenti is a damage dealer. Please never put a 3-star light cone in your damage dealer. You're going to miss out on so many base stats. And if you take into consideration this compared to the other light cone, which is Make the World Claimer, which is a light cone you all have gone for free, right, in Honkai Star Rail at the beginning of the launch of the game, well, you're going to get ultimate damage and is going to be a 4-star light cone. So you'll have better base stats than a 3-star light cone that doesn't even increase the ultimate of your damage dealer. So for Argenti, this is going to be one of his standard teams. You have Asta, you have Huo, and you have Ting Yun. You can actually replace your Asta with Bronya, but please do take into consideration that Bronya without Eidolon 1 and Bronya without her 5-star light cone is not going to give any skill point to the team whatsoever. So again, this team is very skill point heavy, as Bronya, as Huo using your elemental skill at the beginning of the battle. You don't necessarily have to, right? You can use your base attack and the elemental skill after, but it's advisable just to use the elemental skill to get it out the way. And then Ting Yun is a character that uses her elemental skill as soon as the fight starts, but then she turns to a skill point positive harmony character. Now this team will definitely work, and you can actually use Hanya instead of Bronya, which will be a lot more comfortable for most players if you don't have some of those premium options in order for the character to generate more skill points for the team. But Bronya is going to increase your damage greatly, and the fact of the matter is she gives an additional turn to Argenti, which honestly makes or breaks, again, the energy you probably need on the character, right? Because another turn means you can use your elemental skill again, and then you get 30 more energy. And then some of his traces allows the character to get more energy for attacking the enemies. So for the character, that is going to help him reach more breakpoints. But if you don't have Bronya, you can use Asta, who gives speed to the team, right? This is going to be very good because she gives attack to Ting Yun, which means that Ting Yun will give more attack to Argenti. And then furthermore, the speed increase will be very good for Huo and Ting Yun, because that means they will generate more skill points and they will generate more energy on the off turns. But Hanya is a character that just buffs one damage dealer, so she'll be very good for Argenti. So it just depends on who you have on your account. You can't go wrong with any other Harmony character, honestly. But this is going to be his best team by far. He is the most inflexible character in the game. So if you are looking for Argenti to be a character you can put anywhere, you're probably not going to be finding that in this character, unfortunately. How does Argenti compare to the other physical AoE damage dealer in the game, Clara? Now I'm going to put Clara in a hyper carry team and showcase her in this video. So whatever you see in the gameplay footage is going to be of a hyper carry Clara team. And it's going to be utilizing Ting Yun and Huo just like you would use for Argenti and even Bronya as well. Now, the damage is going to be way higher because Argenti is a character that has no form of RNG whatsoever, right? He has no RNG, so he doesn't need to be hit by the enemies to deal damage. He also is a character that just deals damage whenever he gets his turn, right? And the fact of the matter is, his ultimate hits for way harder than Clara's counterattacks. He's a character that is going to deal more damage than Clara, but the reason why people bring this up and why Clara is a better pick than Argenti overall, Clara is a character that needs less teammates to get the job done. She doesn't need as much energy sources as a character like Argenti, and she's a character that you can get relatively easily in the game, right? Your 300 5-star selector pity, or you lose your 50-50 to her, or you get her from the beginner banner or the standard banner. So there's just many ways of getting this character versus spending all of your pulls getting Argenti and getting the other teammates you need for him in order to make him do his job. But once you do get all of those things, Argenti is going to hit way harder than Clara. That's just the nature of giving that character that many resources, right? As a hyper carry. But that's going to be the video here. I hope you all got something out of this. Honestly, Argenti is a character that I probably will be rolling for, just because I have all the tools in order to get the job done, and I definitely want to showcase him for all of you that are going to be pulling for the character as well. Because I don't think many people are going to be rolling for Argenti because many people are too focused on the thighs of Ruan Mei. I mean, can you honestly blame them? But that's going to be the video here. Thank you for watching and have a nice... Oh, I forgot to mention, I will potentially be making another channel for another game. If there's any games you're interested in seeing, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. I will be looking at all of your suggestions. With that being said, thank you for watching and have a nice rest of your day. Peace.